Well, that should bring us back here, and you know, really we're at the stage where we can take questions and see where other people's interests lie in terms of places we haven't gone yet. So let's go ahead and do that here. As far as questions are concerned, stand by. Okay. We have a question about what's the difference in the time that it takes to inventory with RFID versus barcode?
Take that one, Kristen.
Sure. I don't know that we have a set amount of time, but if you think about it, with barcode, you know, and RFID, they both have their own place. But barcode, if you're in a warehouse, for instance, and one thing that you have to consider with barcode is that if you're needing to do an inventory, for instance, you have to go and walk up to each one of those items and scan it to do your inventory. So it's a little bit more time consuming. It's, you know, very effective, but again, you have to go to each one of those. You have to look for the item. You have to look for the barcode on the item. So it does take a little bit more time than RFID, for instance. So if you think about RFID and you take a look at this this device that I'm sure Bobby's about to hold up to you in a second.
I love this thing. It's so much fun.
Bobby, you might be a little predictable now. I don't know.
So much fun. Kristen's point, you're not walking up to every asset, and this is just an example asset. This is an older stuff. But I'm not looking for every UID. Yes,
right.
we use our own software and our own labels. And touching every item. I mean, I'm walking in a room full of these things. I'm scanning away, and boom, I'm grabbing as many as we have, and it's telling me where they are.
Right. Yeah, with that RFID mobile there, all you're doing is walking in the room, walking in a warehouse, just waving the wand, and you don't have to look for things. You don't have to look for a barcode. You're just walking around, and it's that simple and quick. It really is very quick. So, you know, great use of the technology.
And this is a moment where I'll just mention that even though RFID is not a defined military standard for asset identification, for shipments on the military, yes, but not for asset identification. Yet what we see happening is that many are using the combination of UID and an RFID tag to identify assets to get the efficiency and meet the compliance obligations associated with asset identification. And the two can work very well together and easily together when it comes to commissioning those assets and then getting the downstream inventory benefits of being able to capture dozens, if not hundreds, in a single pull of a trigger as you walk through a warehouse or walk into an office area and need to capture laboratory equipment that, you know, without actually having to go and search and find that barcode every time, right?
That's right.
Right, exactly.
Another question said, back to the smartphone here, do I need to install software on the smartphone?
So yeah, I'll answer that real quick. Yeah, again, I think I might have brought this up earlier, but no software to install whatsoever on the smartphone, which is, you know, really great feature about that, because if you're thinking about 1 and 2, both of those are industrial mobiles. You do have to install software for that. With the smartphone, nothing to install at all. All you're doing is going to your web browser and typing in your website URL, and you're in. You know, just log in and there you go. Very simple.
And I'll just on your screen, you're just clicking on your browser, and you're right in.
You're in. You're good to go. And thank you, Bob, for that. And for 1 and 2, there are sort of two sides to the coin in that, yes, you do have to install software on these industrial devices, but you also have a resident database that will capture and store when a device is not connected. So if you are in an area where you don't have Wi-Fi or cell connection or any kind of internet connection whatsoever, it's great to be able to capture and store in batch, and then cradle once you get back to a workstation that is actually connected to the database, and it will sync right up to it, right?
Right.
Good point. Yeah. And another point that I'd like to make about the smartphones as well, if there is an update to the software, nothing for you to do. We update it here, from A to B, and it is automatically pushed to, like you get an update to your website, so is the update to the smartphone as well. So you don't think about it. You don't even see it. It's automatically there. Nothing for you to do.
Tremendous point. Yes. Yep, you're right. And that much more ubiquitous online connectivity with these kind of devices, 3 and 4 both can actually engage a cellular connection, and if you're in any area that actually has even a remotely active cell connection, you're good to go, right? You're writing right to the database.
Right.
Good. Here's another one that asks the question, can we use the camera in the cell phone or tablet, I guess, right, to scan a barcode?
I could take that one. Well, yeah, you can use the camera on your phone, and you can use the camera on your tablet, but not in UC Web to capture a UID label to validate it. You can do those functions to associate images, as I mentioned, to parts in your system. Great use of the technology. However, we do have a standalone native Android application called UID Tracker that does allow you to use your camera to validate marks. Fun little tool. We don't have the capability in UC Web only because we are, we're real believers in infrared technology, in the reliability of an infrared scanner, whether it's a Bluetooth scanner or a tethered USB scanner, or the scanners on these rugged mobile devices, or like the integrated scanner on those tablets, because you get much greater performance in real environments, different lighting in these environments. Whereas with the UID Tracker app using your camera, you're really constricted to the technology in the camera. So to capture that UID label isn't always the best thing to do with your camera. But we did have some fun here at A2B, and we did generate and create our own application, which does do it. So get on out there and download that Android app.
And by the way, that UID Tracker app in the Google Play Store that you can download, I mean, it's got hundreds and hundreds of users. Every day people are using the camera to validate the UID that it is in fact conforming to MIL standard 130, and it's going up with actual online integration to the IUID registry. So it will check the existence of that item perhaps in the IUID registry and tell you whether it exists or not, right?
Very good point that I missed. Yep, and that's the Android app. Once you get in there, you get that nice scan UID box, and you can start scanning away.
Yep. Maybe don't put the phone too close, I think, to the mic. There's a little feedback going on there. You might not be able to hear it, Bob. But with that being said, yeah, the camera's good for what I'll call the casual scan, but if you want to do any kind of cycle counting where you're moving, through a facility, scanning with a level of performance you would expect out of a barcode scanner because you've got to be efficient at it, then you're going to want to use something like the connected or the Bluetooth connected socket device to get that kind of performance out of it, right?
That's right.